What is up, America? The end of the week has arrived, which means it is time for the inaugural episode of PlayUSA's Friday 5. Welcome in. I am at Grant D. Lucas in the Twitterverse, at Grant Lucas in the real world. Each week, I will be hitting you all with 5 things that caught my attention over the previous 7 days, ranging from general gaming to sports, with a smattering of random pop culture. It's your classic, what? It's perfect. So leave your minds and Google pages open as we get ready to dive on in. Real quick though, to stay updated on all we do here, from latest news to Q&As to all video updates, go ahead and click the subscribe button below, and to get notifications when we update this space, make like an American Gladiator contestant at the top of the pyramid and ring that bell. See? Google page. All right. Shall we get to it? Gladiators, ready? Here we go. The NBA is back. Cue the royalty-free 16-bit version of Round Ball Rock. Basketball deserted us overnight nearly 5 months ago. For good reason, of course, but man, it was like Art Modell packed up the buses and moved basketball to Baltimore without a note or anything. Cold turkey. I feel your pain now, Browns fans. I always do. But July 30th, that was a day that was circled several hundred times on our calendars. Basketball returned. It was glorious, awe-striking, inspiring. Thank God fans were not allowed inside the bubble. Seeing their reactions, I would have needed FEMA to rescue me from drowning in my own tears. That night, those first 2 games, the Pelicans and Jazz, the Clippers and Lakers, it was a landmark moment. And of course, it didn't go unnoticed as we dive into the Twitterverse. Take this tweet, for example. Wakes up and rolls over to check time. We've made it. Hashtag NBA restart. Hashtag Rip City. Hashtag Blazers. A little shout out to some Northwest brethren there. By the way, it was Lillard time. We'll get to him in a little bit. On another note, I will always die on the hill that Mike Breen uses his catchphrase a little too much during NBA action. For buzzer beaters, bang! That's great. Late game scoring, bang! I'll celebrate it. First bucket of the game, bang! He's up, Mike. But even I was waiting 4 months for Breeny's call, and we got it. On the first bucket of the game.
Goes across the lane, pass outside, Wesley Matthews, bang! I've been waiting to say that for months.
We can tell.
Was the first shot, no matter what it was, going to be a bang?
Even if it was a layup.
As a member of the media, one of the most difficult things about covering sports is attempting to follow along on Twitter with big moments that happen either in the game you're covering or somewhere else in the world. But Keith Smith, a Yahoo sports writer, he spoke not only for himself, but all journalists with his tweet. Maybe the thing I've been looking forward to most in this restart is that crazy play where TweetDeck scrolls so fast, it looks like it broke. I cannot wait for that to come. Yeah, you're not alone. I was stoked to see that I couldn't keep up with things going on. But it wasn't just that the sport was returning. It was also the unity shown in the fight against racial injustice. Like the legendary Bill Russell, he said it so well. Proud of my NBA brethren, players, coaches, and yes, even the referees, kneeling in solidarity. Let's hope real lasting change will finally be realized. Our lives depend on it. Hashtag NBA voices, hashtag NBA restart. By the way, this is my favorite part of that tweet. It's a welcome change to just channel surfing. Yeah, that might be the only way I can relate to Bill Russell. Then that's okay. But that previous note, it segues nicely into the best of the weekend. Players, coaches, staff, the league as a whole, their dedication and commitment to standing united to help amplify these voices, it sent chills. The messages on jerseys, the pregame videos, it was memorable and moving. I'm getting chills right now just thinking about it. By no means was it overshadowed by the game returning, which itself wasn't overshadowed by the messages. It was nearly impossible to overshadow those games. Each of the first 2, the Jazz and the Pelicans, the Clippers and the Lakers, they went down to the final possession. Rudy Gobert hit a few free throws to push the Jazz past the Pelicans in the final seconds. LeBron followed up on his missed shot to lift the Lakers over the Clips. Yeah, that's a great way to get started. Follow that up the next day with overtime thrillers between Memphis and Portland, both of which are jockeying for that last playoff spot in the West, as well as between Houston and Dallas. There were comebacks, like Utah rallying back from 16 points down that opening night, or the Rockets digging out of a 14-point hole against Dallas, or Phoenix erasing a 15-point deficit to beat Dallas. Man, Mavericks have a problem closing games. In any case, 12 of the 19 games over the first 4 days were decided by single digits. And the individual performances, video game-like. The soon-to-be MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo went off in his first games back, going for 36 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists in the opener, following up with a 36-18-8 line. James of House Harden, god of beards, exploded for 49 points with 9 boards and 8 assists. Joel Embiid went bananas with 41 and 21 boards. Yet somehow he didn't even make headlines in Philadelphia's game against Indiana because TJ Warren carried the Pacers with a career-high 53 points on 9 of 12 shooting from 3. Get that man some Bayer for his back pain. But even Warren couldn't carry the torch for long. Dame Lillard, Dame time, had 30 points and 16 dimes. Luka Doncic went 28, 13, 10 assists, followed with 48 and 11, followed with 34, 20, and 12, becoming the youngest player in league history with a 30, 20, 10 triple-double. Again, do not think any of this went unnoticed by anyone. Forget Twitter, forget watching on TV. You guys no doubt noticed the Zoom fans watching. It's hard to miss. They're watching all over the court. It's courtside. It's a clever addition by the NBA, dropping in to catch some games where not only just fans and their kids, even former players. Chris Bosh, for example, the former teammate of LeBron, zoomed in for the LA Showdown and called it the best seats in the house. And no chance Paul Pierce was going to miss his Celtics take on Portland. Of course, Pierce's mood shifted a tad when Portland almost came back from 24 points down. The NBA returning also obviously meant a much-needed boon for legal sportsbooks, but not all bettors couldn't celebrate. Take those Celtics, for example. They entered their opener against Milwaukee as 5-point underdogs and went into the fourth quarter tied at 87. Midway through the period, Boston actually took the lead, but the Bucks eventually righted the ship and pulled away. Still, Boston backers had the cover in sight, as Milwaukee led by 7 with 14 seconds left, and Boston had the ball. Daniel Tice, he was a decent 2 of 5 from 3, and he had the openingest of looks at that time. He was socially distant from any defender 2 times over. But his attempt clanked, the Bucks rebounded, and Boston failed to cover. What about Dallas backers against Houston? That ridiculous overtime game where over 300 points were scored. James Harden is a career 86% free throw shooter, which is why Dallas bettors were probably a little skittish with the beard at the line with 3.9 seconds left on Friday. The Mavs went in as 1-point favorites. They led by 3 with 4 seconds left. Harden made the first, and bettors were probably thinking, hey, at worst, this is a push. Harden missed the second free throw, and Dallas backers likely flipped. The cover was about to happen. Except the Mavericks couldn't figure out how to get the rebound, and instead, Robert Covington flew in from the baseline, tipped in the board to tie the game, sent it to overtime, where Houston put the game away 153-149. Anybody betting the under totals over the first few days have probably let you know about it by now. Now, to be fair, they probably have a better defense for their decision-making than the defense shown on the court. After all, 6 of the first 8 games went over the projected total. I mean, pattern suggests at some point there will be an under. On Sunday, 3 of the 6 went over. It got to the point that games with 230 totals were still not enough. It was playground. Some bettors, though, they fared better. For example, at DraftKings, one bettor on the second day of the restart cashed out over $16,500 on the Trailblazers money line against Memphis. The next day, an Oklahoma City money line wager paid out a cool $32,000. Some bettors are a little more riskier than others, yet somehow this one was more cautious. He said, forget the spread. Give me Milwaukee to beat Boston between 7 and 9 points. Also the Rockets to defeat Dallas between 3 and 6 points. You know, those 2 games I just mentioned, that were kind of bad beats. Couple $50 bets on those odds, combined for over $700. Gotta risk it to win the biscuit, and I'm sure that payout covered the cost of doctor's visits for that guy's stress-induced ulcers. It's weird to think that we're already a week into the restart, even stranger that the postseason is just around the corner. Any other year, obviously, NBA action after this much layoff means the season just started. Not much you can learn from those starts, but these guys picked it back up amid a playoff push. So what did we learn? For starters, Giannis is the MVP. Case closed. Now granted, none of these games can be taken into account for the voting as the league has already conducted polling for the award. But the way the Greek Freak balled out, pretty sure the MVP announcement is a mere formality at this point. Secondly, the Lakers haven't missed a beat. Except for a Toronto game. We'll get to that in a second. You remember how concerned talking heads were that Rajon Rondo was out with an injury, that Avery Bradley was staying home, that bringing in the likes of Dion Waiters and J.R. Smith was ridiculous? I mean, that probably is. But still, the Lakers locked up the 1 seed in the West. Anthony Davis is going crazy. LeBron is, well, LeBron. The only way they don't win the title, it seems, is if injuries or dumb mistakes happen. Dumb mistakes. You hear that, JR? Figure that out. Lastly, the Toronto Raptors. Somehow, they have gone under the radar in the East all season, but they're the 2 seed in the conference. Not only that, they're the defending NBA champions, even if they don't have Kawhi anymore. Plus, they're 2-0 in the restart and dismantled the Lakers by 17. You want a sleeper? Toronto's it. They're deep, from Pascal Siakam to Fred VanVleet. Don't forget, the Raps eliminated Giannis and Milwaukee in the East Finals last year, albeit with Kawhi, but still. No doubt the bubble NBA is going to provide ample excitement and hopefully winnings as we move forward. It's difficult to find any flaws, outside of some over-officiating and the extinction of defense in general. But that's all beside the point. The NBA is back. We're back. And next week, we'll be back with another Friday 5. Remember to subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, find me on Twitter at Grant D. Lucas. I am out of here. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll catch you all next week with a brand new Friday 5.